and welcome back to the Earthling Podcast. I'm Jenny, and on this podcast we explore stories from Earth and how we can use those stories to explore our inner workings and how we want to shine ourselves forward into the world. We have explored a couple of different topics on this pod with the last couple of episodes, and when I sat down to consider what it was I felt bubbled forward for this episode, I felt blank. I mean, there's a lot to be inspired by within the natural world, and there's also a lot that's going on in our world right now that feels really heavy. And it feels difficult to feel into the earth and then also feel in the sacredness of the earth and then feel this kind of like this cloud, this evil, this just energy of like something that feels really out of my control. And it's hard to come to terms with. So all of this feels really hard to me. And I think because of everything and the lack of knowing exactly what to say or how to say it or how to show up, it's causing me to like kind of step away from being outside, which is something that I really grieve. And honestly, like, nature has always been my best friend, my confidant, my greatest teacher, my greatest love. And I feel so sad that I disconnect from nature. It's in the wintertime. Living in a city, I just have chosen to disconnect. And even in my work, right? Like, I used to be a nature preschool teacher. I spent hours upon hours upon hours outside. And that was what drove me to create, to feel myself, to grow, to prosper, was the teachings of land. And so stepping away from connecting, I have been feeling a lot more disconnected from my body and from what's real, in the sense of like what feels right inside of me. So that's probably not where we wanted this podcast to go, with no teachings. But I do feel inspired to ask you all, like, what are you noticing on land? What are you noticing outside? What teachings are you harvesting? What teachings are you feeling called to? I would love to hear about what's happening in your lives. Anyways, that is me right now. However, sitting here and grounding into this space with you and holding this sacredness of just gathering is reminding me of what kind of trinkets I have around my apartment that do feel like super nourishing to me. And I find that what nature provides is this sense of like wonder and awe and curiosity, and it fuels that for me. So when I have these items inside, I definitely feel like, ooh, this like gushy feeling of like, yes, like that's what it is. Like that's who I am. So I guess for this episode, let's do a little like show and share. And I'll show you a couple of items that are holding me and supporting me and reminding me to nurture and to love and to find the grounding in a time that feels really unsettling to be a part of. So, I have a couple of things I'll show you. I guess the first thing I'll show you is this rock. And it's a beautiful rock that actually, I'll give you like a better look at it. That I just set at the table that's right in front of me. And it's a rock that I found with my family while exploring a plot of land that my family owned for a little bit. It feels weird saying owned because I'm like, how do you own land? Especially land that shouldn't belong to us. But nonetheless, we're not, yeah, I don't know. This rock was on land that is very sacred to me. It was the first place that I ever felt like, I don't even know if I want to share this because it feels like so goofy to share, but I'll share. I went to this land. It's in Wisconsin. It was land that I was hoping to restore and lead gatherings on and offer community engagement on. And it was land that like my family found that they were hoping to live on. And I'll leave it at that. There's more I could say, but I don't want to start crying. So anyways, I was on this plot of land with a friend of mine that we both shared like the same feelings about like just spirituality and connection to land. And we were creating gatherings for women and women identifying people in our city together. So we went up to the land together to just like connect and hopefully find some morel mushrooms that are just like so tasty and like so beautiful, and they grow there. And while we were there, it was like this magical time. The land sometimes like this is getting, yeah, I don't know, this feels weird saying, but like I said at the beginning, like I've always had like such a deep connection with land. I think all humans have a deep connection with land. It's our choice if we want to harvest it and continue it and nurture it. For me, it's always been a part of me. I ebb and flow with it, but I feel like I've been able to hear land and have conversations and tap into different feelings that I may receive when I'm on land. So while I was there with my friend, it was like I kept on hearing the land talking to me, encouraging me, but also just feeling like I wasn't supposed to be there until the last day that we went to the land to visit. And I had like this beautiful experience where like I realized when all of the elements come together, how like magical it can be. So bathing a little bit in the river, being in the hot sun, having bare feet, and just watching the air move throughout the plants. It was just a very spiritual moment that I like felt the walls that I can sometimes put up, the barriers I put up in my heart kind of fully just melted. And it wasn't just me in my mind creating, it was like my heart was creating with land and communicating with land. And there was no hesitation in the connection me and my friend were having with each other. It was just fully nourishing, and I walked away from it being like, wow, like if this is how it feels to be on drugs, like cool, like I can do this without drugs and have this like magical connected connection with land. So in any case, this is from that land, and I feel entirely grateful to have it. I'm grateful that when I asked the land if I could take it home with me, it felt like they were saying, yes, this is a piece of us that we would like to give to you. And it just means a lot to me to have it as an element in my space, as a reminder of what the land meant to me and what it means to me, and also the grief that it does hold on the land. What could have been and what isn't comes up, but there's so much gratitude in just seeing it, and a reminder of those ideas that did circulate and come to me while I was there. And that's something I'm definitely feeling like I'm desiring to nurture now, is like creating gatherings for people to come together to be with land. And that feels tricky to say out loud, and it also feels authentic to say out loud, because that is definitely what's fueling me. It feels tricky because it's like this fine balance of like, I do feel very called to being with children and working with children, and then I also feel like this deep desire to offer community connections with women, with other people that are feeling the same ways as me, that want to come back to land and want to be supported and want to feel this deep longing that land can provide, because we have disconnected from her. So that's how I feel right now about that. And there's a couple of other things I guess I'll show. I think like 2 other things I'll show for this podcast episode. And the next thing is this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'm trying to see. Okay, hopefully. I love this thing. I don't know if I want to just say exactly what this is, because I think that takes away from the curiosity that I can bring. But I will show you again. But I found this again at the land, but I find this all over the prairies, especially during the fall and the winter, and then before like everything starts to get green again in the spring in my community. And it's really fun to find these and spy these. So if you live in a place that has a prairie, or like, I guess like when I lived in Seattle, I never found these, but I would find something similar to this. But if you have any place that has long grasses, you might find something similar to this there. So yeah, I encourage you to look around if that feels like something you're called to. But every time I see these, it reminds me of like this hard shell, this protector, this space to go inward and quiet the world, a space to kind of be born and reborn, right? This like protects, this grows to protect, this grows to nurture, this grows to keep the thing that's inside of it safe, and so it can be nurtured. And it's kind of like in the winter time, right? Like winter slows us down so we can become nurtured enough to be able to blossom into the spring. And that's kind of what this reminds me of. And I love it. I love that it came from the land that means so much to me. I love that whenever I view it, it reminds me of my own strength, that if a little insect could get out of this, I can get out of anything. And it mirrors that outward for me when I'm feeling weak and uninspired, or like I can't do something. I'm like, well, if a little bug can do this, I think I can do it too. And sometimes that means just getting out of my own way, and allowing, like when I went to the land and I had that experience, right? It's like allowing the trueness to shine forward instead of thinking what the trueness is for ourselves. Like, who am I? It's like, who am I? I am this, and I don't need to be shy about it. I don't need to hide it, you know? Because that's what makes us beautiful, and we need more of us like that to be able to shine. I think a lot of the things that I've been engaging with, like book-wise, or even like a little bit of TV, it's like finding the inner strength and allowing the inner knowing to come forward instead of hiding it away. So that's my guy, my favorite little guy. I love this little guy. It's so cute. So I'm going to put this by my favorite people. And then let me see if I can find the other thing I wanted to show you. It might be over here. I'll be right back. The last thing I'll show is this weird, and now that I'm looking at it, I think I'm like understanding a little bit more how this grows. But this weird thing that looks like a bug's eyes. I love how I'm like all the way down here, trying not to get on the screen. But this thing I love, like, it was so crazy because where I found this was at a space that was inviting us to do like meditation and open ourselves up to the communication with land. It was during like a little retreat that I went to in Wisconsin. Do you see the theme that I find myself a lot in Wisconsin? But anyways, we went outside. They invited us to go outside and use our senses to explore the world, and invited us to sit down and just watch and notice and observe the inner workings, but also the outer workings. And I kid you not, every time I went outside to do that activity or another activity that invited us to just notice, I found so many weird things, including this. Like, this to me is so amazing, and like I just love it. I utilize it a lot in different art pieces. If I'm going to make like a nature offering, and I use it all the time because it just guides me inward in a way that other natural pieces may not. I'm also noticing I'm very gravitated towards, like, everything I showed you has like circles on it, which is funny. Like, or like they have circles in it. And I guess like when I look at this, it reminds me so much of like just like being wise, and that there's so much wisdom within the natural world, that when we can take the moments to notice and to feel into, there's so much like that it can bring forward for us, and so much from my remembering of like who we are. And I love it. I love this little thing so much. I don't know what else to say. Like, I just love it so much. I find a lot of different natural pieces outside, and before I take any of them, I do think it's very important to either give something back to land or ask before taking. And sometimes I find stuff that I'm like, oh my God, you're so cool. And I don't feel like I can take it. I have to leave it behind. And it's not meant to be in my home. It's not meant for me. But just like when I was a teacher, it was like, well, we could take pictures of those things. So I have a lot of pictures of different natural items that I find that I'm like, oh my God, you're so cool. And yeah, I love looking for natural art pieces and natural art pieces. I guess nature is art, but that feels funny to say that. So I think that it's important to collect, to notice, to see what your eye catches, to see what your heart is singing for. I think it's beautiful when you go out in nature with other people and they see different things than you see. And it inspires different things in their bodies that it didn't even like think about for yourself. So yeah, saying that out loud is like, ooh, that does nurture the part of me that really does want to provide like spaces for us to gather and spaces for us to connect with land in a beautiful, beautiful way that I think as humans we know how to do, but sometimes we just don't, including myself, we don't devote enough time to really listening to that urgency, that need, that desire to just be with land and be with ourselves. All right, I am going to leave this podcast here. Like I said, I wasn't sure what we were going to talk about. I'm glad that we took the time to look around my space and I could show you some things that really mean stuff to me. I hope this inspires you to look further if that feels right for you. That always feels weird to me to be like, I hope this inspires you. So I actually just hope that this episode gives you something that maybe lights you up in a way. Whatever that is. I'm just going to put that out there. Alright, I will see you next episode. I'm hoping next episode we have something to really discuss. And if not, we're just going to vibe it out, right? Like, it's just time for us to hang out and come together in community and hopefully inspire us to continue to connect with ourselves and the land. So I'll see you later. Bye.